Hello everyone, welcome to Synergy Assessments. In this video we're going to talk about creating an actual assessment, a full assessment. You've done the video of how to do a multiple choice, text entry, inline, multi-part, constructed response. Questions, those are just questions. Now we need to put those into an assessment to be able to give to the kids to take. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to assessment, and now we're going to go to assessments. And then under assessments on the right, we're going to go new, and we're going to go full assessment. Full assessment is what you're going to use mainly. When you name, this goes back to those naming conventions of GUHSD or your school or your teacher. So we'll say I was making this for the district. I would go GUHSD, and then we'll go geometry. And then we could say, you could do it for a full unit, you could do it for homework. Unit 10, lesson 1, homework. You could do it for midterm review, whatever you want to do it. Your status always wants to be live, and it always has to live in a bank. So I'm just going to put it in my bank. You can put a description if you want. You do not have to. Same thing with instructions. The description and instructions are for the overall assessment, not for each question. Those instructions should be in each question already, but you don't have to use that. Now, sharing, you can share this assignment with other teachers. All you would do is, and same thing up here to get these description instructions, you just hit this plus. Same thing down here with share this assessment, sorry. And then here I would just type in the teacher's name that I want to share it with, and I would click on their name, and now it is shared with them. Okay, and now if I shared it, like if I go back here, and if I just type in Matt, you can see it brings a bunch of math. If I bring that Matt and I don't want that one, I would X out of it. Okay, so that's sharing it. That way other people can use it. Settings, allowing copying. You usually want that on, especially if you're sharing it. If you share the assessment with somebody, they can make a copy of it. If they don't make a copy of it and they change that assessment, it will change that assessment for you as well. So when you share it, I always tell the people I share my assessments with, make a copy and then use it. Use the copy of that. And to make a copy of an assessment, because once it's saved, it'll pop up, make a copy. Allow printing, that makes it printable. You don't have to use time available. You don't have to use any of these. This is totally your choice. Item navigation, as a district, we don't use it for unit tests, but personally I like to use it, or I'm sorry, for item navigation we do. Item navigation, I would click that, you can see it's green, now they can use it. Item navigation lets them go, I don't know number 1, I'm going to come back to it, I'm going to go to number 2. If that is red, they have to answer number 1 before they can go to number 2. So yes, we have that on this district in math, in geometry, but what we don't have is the randomized item order and answer order. If it's just a test you're wanting for your class and you're not comparing data or whatever, you do randomized item order. That changes. So my number 1 and the person next to me number 1 are going to be different. They're not going to see the same number 1. All the same they'll see all the same questions eventually. They're just not going to be in the same order, helping to prevent against cheating. Same thing with randomized answer order. If they're multiple choice questions, my answer to number 1A will look different than the person next to me answered number 1A. My answer for 1A might be 8, his might be 2, but all the answers will still be there. So if the 4 choices were 2, 4, 6, 8, I may see A is 2, B is 4, C is 6, D as 8, where the person next to me may see A as 8, B as 6, C as 4, D as 2. So that's what randomized answer order um, does for you. It helps with that cheating. And you can play with the rest of those, all these eyes. Those are the ones I'm going to go over. All the eyes, if you click on the eye for them, it'll tell you what it does, or if you just hover over it, not click. And then feedback options. When they finish the test, this is what they get. So you can see results, you can see incorrect items, full feedback, gives the whole test back to them, stuff like that. As for staff settings, usually I keep it what's already marked green and red already. I don't change any of these. So I want to see student response. I got a grade constructive response. I want to allow retakes. You may want to take that off. You may not want to allow retakes. Access it now, I usually always have on. So you can play with those, but like I said, I usually don't mess with staff settings. The only ones that I usually mess with are item navigation, randomize item order, and randomize answer order. Those are the most that you would want to switch back and forth. Scoring band, I don't ever have on. You can create bands and see the scoring a little different. Accommodations, this is where you would add accommodations. So if you have randomized item order on and they skip number 1 because they don't think they can do it, if you have marker for review on, they can mark it for review. That way they know they have to go back to it. They can highlight and strike out, but once again, when they do that, it's totally fine, and I always have it on for them. But just keep in mind, whatever they highlight or strike out, that's another way that could you could worry about cheating. So just keep in mind. But if you have IEP students, you could put in text to speech, color tools, calculator, all that stuff. Once again, the attributes, these are just like what's on questions for grade level subject, all that stuff. So that's just the giving the assessment stuff and having what's available. Now, down here under assessment items, this is where you put in questions. So you can add by the standard. So if you actually put standards on questions, you could, this is where you could click add by standards, and I could click, let's just say I want to do geometry 12.4, which is density. If I just want to add by that, I could just click those and done selecting, and it'll put them in there by there. I don't want to do that, done selecting. But I could do that way. I could create a new item in my assessment. It looks a little different and it's easier to lose. So I don't suggest that, but you can do it. If you do it, it's going to be the same. It's just going to be type by type. So you multiple choice, just like we created our questions. There's my prompt. Oh, it's not going to let me move forward without putting a prompt there. And there's the grade level, all that stuff, and there's the standards, and then I could add it that way. Now the problem is, if I'm in the middle, and this is why I don't suggest doing this, if I'm in the middle of typing something, I click over there, it's gone, it doesn't save, and you're gonna have to start all over again. So, and when it really happens a lot is if I'm doing multiple choice, and I go here, and then I'm typing in my answer, now I want to go to B, and I miss this and hit that, now I'm done. It's gone and I got to start totally over. So that's why I suggest not doing it from here, but you can. But since we already created the questions, I would add existing items. So now you can see this is going to pull up all 187. I'm not going to go all the way down, but you can see all my questions, which is 3,730 of them. It's to show all mine. I can go item ID number, and that's where I would type in that ID number, and then it would go right to just that one question. You could use the standard tree. These are all I see. You can always add to yours by clicking that gear, and then you can see I can say, okay, I want item type, so I want to show it, and now that's here. And so I could search for questions I want. If I want all of these to be, if I want a full text entry, I just click there and it's only going to pull up the text entry ones. Or if you don't have a lot of questions, you can just ignore that and go to here. But once you get a lot of questions, you're going to want, that's why I keep saying the item ID number is the best, because you write those down, then you just plug in that number, it'll pull up just that question, you know exactly where it is. So I'm going to make this test. I have my questions up here. Once I do is I click it. Now you can see the writing turned green. You can see on this one the writing's gray. Now once I hover off of that, the whole question's gray. That means it's going to be there. So I'm just, and this is a multiple choice, and you can see I have pictures in the multiple choice. This is a constructed response, so this is what the student will see. Here's a question they have to type in. Here is, sorry, that's short answer. Here is text entry in a table. Here's hotspot. Here is multiple choice. I'm going to just pick a few of these. I'm just going to go down, and I don't know how many I got there. But once I have all of them done, I'm going to hit done selecting. And then now they are all four in there. All of those questions. Now, if I don't have randomized order of questions on, and I want them to go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but I don't like this order, I can always just, you can see how my cursor turns to across there. I can move this here, and now that order will change. If I'm like, if I want to see the rest of this graph question right here, I can just click that and I can see, okay, yep, I know what that one is. And there's even a try it where you can try it. Then this gear, if you want this question to be worth more points, you can make that a 2 or a 5 or however. You can make each question with however many points you want. And you can see too, once I imported this, these all, some of them had standards on them, and I automatically put the standards right in there. And maybe I added this question that I didn't want. I can just remove it, and now it's gone. Now this is the tile version. If you look at expanded view, that's where I can see the full question like this. Now, in expanded view is where I can say, oh, that question is a problem. I just want to edit that question. It'll take me right to that question, so I can edit that question. Not all things are able to edit from here, but some stuff is. So maybe if, like this one, back here, if it says the points of a function, if I just wanted to say the point instead of points, I could just delete that S there instead of going all the way back to the question and stuff like that. Once you have that all in there, you can do one of two things. You can save. Once you're happy with your thing, you can save, or you can save and schedule. If you just save, either way, if you save or save and schedule, it will automatically be in your assessments. If you just save, it will just go to that assessments and it'll just bring you right back to this, and it'll give you an assessment ID number. If you save and schedule, it will take you to where you can schedule it for your students, and that's down here, and that will be a different video. I'm going to do schedule and grading in a different video. Now, once you have it scheduled, once you actually schedule it for students, you will see up here, view assessment as a student, view results analysis, and open a printable version. So if you want them to do test corrections and write out the questions, you could print up a version of this and make a version to give to them. What I do is I have them do test corrections where they write out the question. I make a class set. That way I'm only making 30, 40 copies instead of one copy for each student, and I tell them they can't write on it. Being assessment as a student, that's where you can view it to make sure it looks okay and it looks the way you want them to see it. And then view results analysis, and that's where they will score it. Um, this is a district assessment. Let me go to a one that was created. I don't know if I created this. Wrong part. Sorry about that. But another option that will be there, since that one is a district one, I cannot copy it and I cannot edit it very much. But if this was not shared, if somebody created it and shared it with me, I would have make a copy. If I go back here, if I save this, let's see if I can come back to it. There should be a spot, and I don't know why it wasn't there when I did that, but there should be a spot where it was. There should be a spot where it says copy assessment. Now, this is used. Yeah, what was this one? There we go. I don't know why it's not on here. But what it'll say is it'll say copy assessment. And what you do is you make a copy, and when you make a copy, this will read, it'll automatically read copy of whatever it is. Now, the reason you would make a copy, like I said, first of all, is if somebody shares one with you and you want to change it up, you need to make a copy, because if you just change what they gave you, it'll change it for them too. Another reason you would want to make a copy is, like, let's say you have two courses where one is honors and one is not. So, like for me, I do regular geometry and honors geometry. A lot of times some of the questions are the same. There's just some of them that I need to change. So I'd make a copy, and then I would change it to honors geometry and get rid of the questions that I don't want from regular and just add in my honors ones. Now, if you don't save this, you lose it. You have to save, and that goes along with as well with when you create a new item. If I create a new item and I do it all and I put it in here and I don't save, or I'm in the middle of doing this and I don't save, and let's say my computer crashes or power goes out or whatever, I lose it. So you have to save it to have it. So that is how to create a synergy assessment.